Hi, Kaitlin. I'm so glad that you were able to come in today. I appreciate you taking the time, and I just want to ask you some questions. And can you maybe describe why you decided to call today?
Yeah, so I came in just because my boyfriend kind of recommended that I come. I have my licensing exam coming up for my degree and I'm just like really anxious about it. I'm really struggling. I know I'm going to fail. Like I'm not going to pass. I'm not really sure why I'm even taking it, but you know, he wanted me to come talk to somebody just because it's taking over my life, it seems, I guess. So I figured I'd come, but I'm not really sure that it's going to do much to be here.
Well, I'm so glad that you did decide to come. Um, so it sounds like what I'm hearing is that you're getting ready to take your, is it your LCSW exam?
No, it's my LMSW.
LMSW, okay. So you've been doing the work on that, and you are afraid that once you start to take that exam, that you're not gonna pass the exam.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's not really that I'm afraid. I know I'm not going to pass it. So I'm not really sure why I'm even trying. I know I'm going to fail.
Okay. Well, I know that must be kind of a scary thought to think you've put this much time and energy and money into it, and then thinking maybe that won't pass this test. Can you help me understand what makes you think that you won't pass the test?
Um, I just like kind of have a feeling. I've never really been a good test taker. They've always been hard for me. I've never been like the greatest student either, and so this is really important, and if it's important, then it usually goes wrong, so
Sure. So, Caitlin, if this is your master level class, and I'm assuming you've taken about 20 classes to finish this degree, is that correct?
yeah, give or take.
Give or take 20. And I believe that in order to get your degree, you can only have maybe 2 C's in the whole entire program.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. So can you give me any evidence based on what you just told me, that you're not a good test taker and that you think you're going to fail? Have you failed any of the classes that you've taken this far?
No, so I've never failed a class. I've just had to retake tests before, like, when I was in high school and stuff like that, and I've just never had to take a test that was, like, this big and important, and so, yeah. But I don't fail classes, but I don't really have tests in my classes. I have, like, papers and presentations.
Sure, sure. Okay, so can you give any evidence thus far of where maybe you failed a class or failed a test?
Yeah, like my freshman year of college, I failed my first math test, very badly. And so it's kind of just carried with me and like stayed with me throughout the years. And it's really hard for me to overcome that. And now I just kind of stay away from them if I can help it.
Sure, sure. Is there anything else that you can give evidence of why you could technically fail this particular test? Is there anything else?
I don't know. No, not really.
So, okay, is there any evidence that you could give me of how you could pass this test?
Um, I can study, maybe do like study groups with like peers. Buy the ASWB, like, study materials would probably be helpful.
Sure. So, at this point in the game, you've taken classes for, let's say, 20 years, or let's say 15 years. You've
Mhm.
gotten this far, and you failed a class your freshman year in college, and but you got into the program, and then you haven't taken a whole lot of tests, but you've done well on papers. So I'm hearing that out of that, what would you say is a percentage of how many tests you've taken in 7 years?
Maybe like 10,
10.
maybe,
So,
yeah.
and you maybe failed one.
Yeah,
So, what would you say that the prediction of you failing this test could be?
1 out of 10.
1 out of 10? So, 10%.
It has a 30% fail rate for the test for the first time.
Okay. So what are some things that you could do that would help with in thinking of a scenario that you wouldn't fail? So you said you could take some online class or online classes. You have the options like we've looked at that you could technically fail or you could not. Um, if you had a friend going through this, what would you maybe tell your friend that they could do to solve this problem?
I think I'd probably tell them to take some, like, of the practice tests that you can get to kinda give them a gauge of, like, what they need to study or, like, how close they are to passing or if they're, like, ahead of the game even.
Okay. And so if you were to do something like that, let's just say you did something like that, what would be some barriers that you could face?
Buying them and then just, like, the anxiety of actually taking the practice test. Because if I fail that, then I like, that just kinda confirms what I already know.
Okay. So we know that you failed 1 out of 10 classes. We know that there's evidence that you can take these and they're test taking. You could probably get some at the library. Um, so is there anything else that you would tell a friend that was feeling this anxiety as well?
Hmm, I don't know, maybe just to prepare as much as you can, and if you do fail, it's not really the end of the world, you can always retake it.
So you have an option of passing or failing. You have the option of taking other tests to help practice. And then you have the ability to say that it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
If you so at this point in the game, on a scale of 1 to 10, and 10 being the highest anxiety and 1 being the least, where would you say you fall in this?
Um, uh, like a I don't know, a 9?
A 9, so you still have a lot of anxiety over taking these
N
tests.
Well, no, like, I started out at a 9, but, like,
Okay,
now I'm more so like a 5 or a
5.
6.
And if you took the test in, like, let's say, chunks, so you took a piece one day and then a piece the next day, would that help lessen the anxiety of having to take it?
I don't actually think so because it doesn't really create, like, the testing like, the real testing environment, but I think that if I took, like, multiple different practice ones, that would help because then I get, like, a variety of questions
So that would ease your anxiety down to what?
to probably, like, a 2.
A 2? So do you think for some homework, we could maybe start utilizing taking some of those tests?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay, is there anything else that we could do to help, um, limit the anxiety that goes with taking these tests?
Mm. No, I don't think so because I think that there's just going to be, no matter what, some level of nerves about it. It's a really important test. So I think a 2 from a 9 is pretty like reasonable and like manageable for me to cope with.
Well, that's great. That's great to hear that you have figured that out. Now, I know we have a schedule for next week, so we will look at some of those tests that you've done and look at how you felt while you were doing it, and then we will meet next Thursday.
Awesome. Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Caitlin. Great to see you.
Yeah, of course. Bye.
Bye.
Okay.